us. He's on the phone. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Thomas Palmer, yes.
Ken, yes.
Yes.
And Jeff, do you want to say yes?
I don't think I'm allowed, but if I
Okay,
am, yes.
all right, you're in anyway.
Thanks.
Okay. Thomas, now you caught your breath. You want to give us
Yes.
a pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Neil, you want to start off with some points of pride?
Sure. Really, I'm going to repeat kind of what I said before with this, especially in this building, the town clerk tax collector out, down the finance director. And I was out a couple of days last week. Everybody has just really stepped up. Kara and Christine and Pat and Karen. Everybody has really just stepped up. And that goes, I see that closely, but that goes for the other departments who are also short-staffed. The highway department and the police department are both understaffed at the moment. The transfer station is, I think, down one part-time person at the moment. So it's been, we're hearing that from all sorts of departments, but we're seeing it people really well together to cover everything. And trying to keep up and things moving forward.
Well, certainly thank you and thank all of the town staff for stepping up. Did you have anything else?
That's
Okay, I'd like to thank all of those people in town that participated in the cleanup on Saturday. I believe there were, Bonnie, thank you. There were many people that were involved, many hands make it that much better. So we'll move on to the administrative. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda for today, April 25, 2022?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? No. Okay, I guess we go with a roll call vote. Thomas?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes,
And Ken, yes. Okay, next, do I have a motion to approve the public meeting minutes of April 11, 2022?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, again, a roll call vote. Thomas?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Jeff?
yes,
And Ken, yes. Okay, then approval of the non-public meeting minutes of April 11, 2022.
So moved.
Okay, I've had a chance to read them, so I'll second them.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second.
I beat you to it.
Oh, yeah.
Any discussion?
No.
Okay, Thomas?
Yes.
Ken, yes. Stephen?
Yes.
And Jeff, since you didn't get to see the minutes, I assume you're going to abstain?
correct. Thank you.
Okay. Then we'll move on to public appointments. The first one is regarding the sewer energy audit. Ma'am,
Thanks.
or do you both want us?
Well, my name is Steve Bowles with Process Energy Services. I conducted the audit at the water and wastewater plant. Sharon, all of the New Hampshire DES. We're under contract with the DES to perform these audits.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, first go through the audit if that's all right. And then Sharon can jump in with some funding information for some of the projects.
Please.
You each have a copy of that. What is going on.
Yes, thank you.
The full reports are here.
There's two of them.
So what I've got is in front of you is just the first few pages of the water system energy evaluation and the wastewater evaluation. What I'd like to do is just give you an idea of what's included in these reports. So if we want to start with the water system evaluation.
You say the water system, wastewater or the water treatment
The
plant?
water treatment plant. And
Okay.
wastewater system station. So a good place to start is just the table of contents, gives you an idea of what's included in these reports. See on page 2, is the table of contents. This describes what's in the reports. Section 1, executive summary. Section 2 is a review of energy management practices and benchmarking your systems with other New Hampshire water and wastewater facilities. In this case, of course, water systems for this report. Section 3 is a review of your water system and for each of the facilities and the focus on energy use and potential opportunities for savings. And section 4 is the recommended measures that I came up with. For the water system, there really wasn't too much. And the reason why, if you want to turn to page 7, you'll see that there's a list of water systems that we've done audits at so far. And the Two-Pit Village system is far down the list, which is good news. Means you have an efficient system. We base this on kilowatt hours per million gallons value. And it's comparable to some of the large systems in the state, so it's excellent. For a system that's small, to be operating that efficiently is good news. So with that in mind, the report pretty much only came up with a lot of thermostat adjustments. You have some electric heat at the facilities, and look like some good opportunities just to fine tune that a little bit. And page 5 is a summary of the measures identified. So there's 3 categories of measures. You can see the first one is energy management practices. Now this is just simply benchmarking energy use with flow, tracking runtime, observing thermostat settings on a regular basis. It's basically just keeping an eye on energy use. And then we've got 3 operational measures. The first one is adjusting the water plant thermostats down to a lower level. The OM2 is shutting off the electric hot water heater, which isn't needed at that plant since it's on staff, unoccupied most of the time. And then OM3 is for the Kimball pump station, again, a thermostat adjustment. Not really exciting measures, but because heating actually uses more energy than the process systems at these facilities, it makes sense to focus on that. And then the last one is energy conservation measures. Requires a little bit of investment to get the savings. Not much, about $500 to realize $250 in annual savings. And that's just installing wall thermostats instead of having high-low knobs on the electric heaters. So not a lot going on here, but that's good news. It means Sam's doing a great job at the operating the water system, and as compared with other water systems in the state, you're doing really well.
You know, you realize, thank you for doing this. It's great news, but the precinct is not under us.
Okay.
So will you be doing the same presentation to the commissioners of the precinct, or at least providing the report?
Yeah, we'll be in touch with them.
Okay.
Sam's here. You all know Sam?
I'm representing the precinct as the commissioner wasn't able to make it as he planned to.
We met at the tour back in the winter.
So moving on to the wastewater report. A little bit more to discuss here, but I'll also kind of take the same approach. Table of contents very similar for the water system report, so I won't go through that, but let's take a look at how the wastewater facility compares with other systems, small systems. And on page 7, you'll see table 2.2. It's about the middle of the pack. These are all lagoon facilities, so similar types of facilities, and still doing very well though. And the good news is, if you go down to table 2.3, after the energy measures, if the energy measures are implemented, the numbers improve quite a bit, and you'll actually have a higher ranking in efficiency. And just to give you an idea of what these columns are on the end here, we've got kilowatt hours per million gallons received at the plant is the second to the right. And then kilowatt hours per pound of BOD removed. That's the process load at the plant. And so that's how we look at benchmarking your facility and comparing it to other lagoon facilities. So that 2.52 figure would drop down to 1.63, as shown in table 2.3 to improve that value, that kilowatt hours per pound of BOD. I'll tell you about the measures that'll get you there. Is on page 4. So what we've got here is, again, the first measure is very similar to the water system, is benchmarking the energy and equipment data. Again, it's just a matter of tracking energy on a regular basis and benchmarking it with flow and DOD load. And then the operational measures. The first one is actually one Sam already began to do at the plant as far as adjusting the speed of the VFD on the blower. A blower is basically the highest energy use piece of equipment at the plant. It provides oxygen to the lagoon system, and it's on a variable frequency drive, which adjusts the capacity of the blower. And it was always operated at a high speed. And Sam took the initiative to reduce that to a lower speed, making sure he was still meeting permit. And with that, what I did in the report is actually did a model of the system to be sure that it matched the process loads and provide adequate dissolved oxygen level in the lagoon system. So the good news is that it fit fine. It was matched the original specifications. So it's a measure that is worth doing, and there was significant savings. So that'll bring down costs quite a bit. OM2 was just adjusting a generator block here that was operating a little bit high at the Fountain Square pump station. And OM3 was pump station heater improvements. You have some electric heat at that pump station on each level. And this was just a matter of not using the heaters on the lower levels, and then the upper level just installing a wall fence to get better control. And then the last one, ECM1, is installing setback thermostat controls at the plant itself. That would reduce fuel use at the plant. So those are the efficiency measures, but I also included looking at a solar PV array. You've got quite a bit of room at that plant. It's interesting because we're able to use the numbers from Warner that installed a solar PV system at their wastewater plant. A little bit bigger than you need, but it's nice to have real numbers to work with, knowing what their savings are, what they've been seeing, and apply that on a slightly lower level, but still definitely applies at your plant that you could reduce costs quite a bit. In fact, to the point where you could pretty much take care of all the energy use at the wastewater plant with this investment. So you would be very close to net zero at that plant, which is unusual because we don't have a net zero plant at the state, within the state yet. Yeah, so it's a great opportunity. It's just looking at the paybacks without incentives, it's about a 16-year payback. So it's a little bit of a long payback, but Sharon's got some good news on some funding opportunities that can help you out. Any questions about the measures? There's more details, of course, in the report, but I just want to provide you an overview of the measures identified.
A question not on the measures, but just really quickly looking through this on page 6, you have some table 2.1. It seems like the energy usage in 2019 and 2020 is significantly higher than prior years. Is that an aberration, or why is that?
I don't know as far as the history goes of why that might have been higher. Also, of course, let's look at the process loads and flow. Yeah, flow is not much higher. And you do see a daily VOD that's higher though. Do you see that in the third column from the right? So especially 2020, where it's 143 pounds per day, much lower than previous years. So that probably had something to do with it in 2020, but I can't tell you why in 2019, why that energy use was higher. That was probably, that was before you came, Sam?
2020, right at the beginning of 2020 is when I came on board. So there was a lot of energy usage that wasn't used because the place was empty. There was a contracted service using the facilities. I work mainly on the wastewater plant non-stop, so that's where I am all the time, essentially. So with that and the added VOD from everything shutting down COVID-19, everyone being home, between the two of them, I see 2020 raising quite a bit, knowing that our flows would definitely elevate that target.
Tom, Stephen, Jeff, do you have any questions at this point?
I'm all set.
You promised me good news.
I did. So, last year, we have ARPA funding coming in to, I work for the state wastewater engineering bureau in the Department of Environmental Services. We had quite a bit of ARPA money come in. We were able to, anyone who put in a pre-application last year for energy audit implementation, we were able to give them 100% grant to implement those projects. I hope to be able to do that again. I cannot do it if you don't.
Can she get closer to the microphone, please?
Yeah, I think I stand up. I forgot he was on the phone. So our pre-application deadline for both drinking water and wastewater is June 1st. Worst case, we can give 50% loan forgiveness for implementation of anything in the audit. Eversource would not support renewable energy, but they will support other projects. There's not a whole lot of, there's only $7 for the other projects. So it is exciting that if one of the plans I had was to have a net zero plant before I retire and I'm running out. So yeah, if June 1st, key date to remember, there is no risk in putting a pre-application in. It just gets you on the list for whatever funding packages we come out with. So if we can do the 100% grant, you'll be on the list and you have a shot at that. Worst case, like I said, 50%. So it would cut that 16-year payback on solar down to 8.
And just by putting in the pre-app does not commit us to anything.
No, there is no commitment. And you have a year from the date, it's June 30th of 2023 is when you have to have your authority to borrow and your loan application, if it's the 50% loan forgiveness.
What do you need as part of the pre-application? Just filling out the application?
Yeah, it's an online application.
Okay.
And if you guys have questions, I can certainly help you
Okay.
answer questions as you go through it.
Okay. Is it pretty easy to find online?
Yep.
Okay.
If you look for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund,
Uh-huh.
that webpage,
Mhm.
or just put in pre-application, it should come up
Okay.
in the Google search.
Okay.
And would this be our pre-application or the precincts?
This particular thing is ours. This has nothing to do with the precinct.
And are we committing to fund what isn't funded by this grant?
That's why I asked, no, apparently we are not committing to anything.
Okay,
If you don't put the pre-application in, you do not have a seat at the table.
Cool.
Jeff, did you have any other questions along that line?
nope, that was it.
I'm wondering if next steps would be, Neil, if you could, maybe Arana.
Dr. Sam.
This
And-
is something that's already on my radar. I talked to Neil about it earlier today, actually,
So maybe if 1, 2, or 3 of you could put something together and present it to the board at a future meeting, but not too future.
Yeah. Not after June 1st.
Yeah, the sooner the better.
And on the drinking water side, they have 50% grant for implementation. But I will say with only $500 needed, it may not be worth it anymore.
And that's up to the precinct. Okay. Any other questions?
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's not time for our next public appointment yet. So, Neil, do you think we can do the barn easement in 7 minutes? Or thereabouts?
You could start it.
Okay,
Forgot to do it last time.
Yeah.
yeah. We had gone on a a tour of a barn that was seeking a preservation easement last meeting, but we did not get around to doing the evaluation, and that's what we're planning to do tonight.
How do you want to just go through the form there?
Yeah, you can ask Neil to pull up the.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Ken, you've done one of these before?
yes.
Okay.
Quite a few. The first item is the scenic quality of the structure, and you can see the different percentages. Hopefully, you've had a chance to review this prior to this meeting. So, Thomas, I'll start with you. Where do you think the scenic quality should fall?
I'd say somewhere from the 45 to the 65, one of those two, probably not the top, but not the bottom.
Okay, so 55 more or less.
Yeah.
Okay, Thomas, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of arrived at pretty close to that 55 figure for this first factor as well.
Okay, and Jeff, have you had an opportunity to review this?
Yeah, I did. I looked at it and I was right around 50, so pretty much with everybody else.
Okay, so we'll put down 55.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Done.
Okay, public access participation. Stephen, you want to go first?
Yeah, I didn't know what category in terms of traffic count this road is. Neil, do you happen to know where it would fall on this list?
It's gotta be up there,
Arterial?
or 400 a day.
Okay, okay.
It's just from the school.
That's a good point. Yeah. Then I would say like 60, 65.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jeff?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I was at 2/3, so same thing.
Okay, so we'll go with 65 there. Okay. Historical importance. Jeff, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, I mean, given the history of the property, it seems pretty high on the list. I mean, the original blacksmith shop, I guess, I mean, that's how I understood it to be. And, I would put that up at 85%. I mean, assuming that those claims are correct, I don't have any way to verify them or to not verify them. But it seemed like a significant structure in terms of the town.
I don't think we can go above 75%.
Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, no, that's
That's my
fine.
fault.
So you're high. Okay.
Yes.
Thomas?
I'd say probably a little bit lower. I mean, I don't know if it is eligible for historical places. And like, if I was to use like the Houston barn as like a higher up, as like the higher level, I would definitely say this would be below that. So, I mean, and I do think that there's like a lot of value in the fact that he's intending to restore it back to the blacksmith shop. So I think that kind of improves out of it too. So I'd say like the low end of that, like in the 65 range.
Okay. Stephen?
I mean, I guess I probably view it more closely to where Jeff is at and sort of the higher range of that figure. But I mean, maybe to just get to the middle, say 70%.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
70, okay with you, Jeff?
Yeah, I can live with that.
Okay. Next item, Neil. Okay, condition of the structure.
In need of a little love.
Yeah,
I mean, it does retain its historic interior.
that's true.
Until that corner gives way, yes.
I'd say that 65 is pretty spot on. It could definitely be restored to excellent condition.
Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, there's been, that back wall certainly appears to be very original. And, as we saw, the framing is not what you would call current standards. It certainly has held up over the years, but it's not how you do it today if you're building it. It's very historic. I agree.
So
I'm fine with that.
So we've got 65?
Sure.
Okay. So
So we'll figure
this,
that out.
the sum
So I just,
is just under 64.
yeah, 63.75, but you should check my math, Neil, or someone,
Okay.
or Thomas, you can do it in your head.
I calculated,
You did, yeah. That was kind
but I
of,
don't remember what the move put down for all.
so it was 55, 65, 70, and 65.
Yeah, 63, I think, 63
Okay,
points.
Okay.
is everybody okay with that percentage, or should it be tweaked some?
That works for me.
That works for me.
Jeff?
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. You know, everybody seems on the same page more or less. And it's a significant number.
Mhm.
For sure. Okay. We need a roll call voter?
No, but is there anything,
We have to
comments for the
identify,
public benefit?
yeah.
I think the fact that he intends to, I mean, he's been going through a traineeship program to become an actual blacksmith, a historic blacksmith. And he's intending to restore it to that use and allow public access to see that. I think that's like a very,
Yeah, I mean, he indicated that he was going to make it accessible to the public to visit and see the blacksmith shop. I mean, you know, I don't know how much more public benefit you could expect out of a renovation from an old,
yeah.
questionable quality barn
Yeah.
to a blacksmith shop. You know, my personal concern on the blacksmith shop side of it is, you know, that building's a tinderbox. And, you know, it's going to be important how the forge is put back into place and where that goes and what the protections are. But I mean, making something like that available to the public is the true illustration of public benefit.
Okay, great. Yes, and certainly Chief EL will be involved.
No question.
I mean, looking at the statutory criteria, it sounds like we're all landing at 2B or 2C. And just, Neil, I'm looking at 79-D:3. Because this is the list of public benefit categories. And B is the structure is historically important, which we've talked about. And then C is the structure's physical or aesthetic features contribute to the historic or cultural integrity of a property. And we've also talked about that. So yeah, so that's right in line with what the statute requires.
Okay, are there any other comments on this?
Take this, we'll write this up and then have you sign it at your next meeting.
Sure. Yeah, because it's not time essential at this point.
Right. We want it entered before the first tax bill goes out, but other than that.
Do we hit everything in the form? Neil, just want to make sure. So we're not adjusting that average percentage?
No.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, you could adjust.
And that's why I asked if everybody's
oh, okay,
comfortable.
okay, got it. Right,
Okay, so all right, it's just after 6 o'clock. We'll go back to Shannon Greenwood's request for a building permit on a Class 6 road. Shannon here? No, does anybody want to speak in favor of this petition?
From this morning,
I was planning to ask for public comment, but does anybody on the board want to say anything before I ask for some public comment?
guess I just had a question, but it's more of a process one than a comment on what she wants.
I have a similar process question, not comment.
Want me to go with mine first? Has this gone to the planning board yet for
It has
review?
not gone to the planning.
Okay,
It's come
okay.
here first and you would have to send it there.
Okay, and then the other, I guess, kind of related one was I was hoping we would get some comments from DPW as well.
That was my question.
Okay.
Not the planning board one.
Okay, and we, based upon what our decision is at the end of this meeting, we can, I assume we can just say no, or we can send it to the planning board for their comments.
So that was actually, I understood it the other way around. I understood that we had to get planning board's comments before we did anything.
Yeah, that's kind of how I understood it too.
I thought we had the option.
The thing that the statute that I was reading said that we could make a determination with comment from the planning board. So I was saying that we had to get their comment before we did anything.
Yeah, that's how I read it too.
Okay, you're the lawyer, I'm not. Okay, with that understanding, does anybody from the public want to make any comments?
What exactly is the application for?
It's for a building permit on Class 6 road on Bound Trade.
Yeah.
The issue that came up at town meeting.
Does it have anything to do with reclassifying a section of the road, or they just?
No,
Nope. Yeah, there's a statute, Bonnie, it's 674-41, and that's what this request is under. Yep.
James here. I'm just trying to educate myself. Is it different than what was on the warrant that the town said no to? So this
Yes.
is a different way that could be a potential different outcome with what they would be getting, or how?
I think the outcome would probably be the same because they would be able to build the single family that they want to build. But they would, if this is successful, they would get that ability without the road changing from Class 6 to Class 5.
Okay. Okay.
So the town wouldn't, in other words, the town wouldn't take on any responsibilities for it, which was what was the question at town meeting. And the road would remain a Class 6 road.
I would just add that the town would not be taking on any responsibilities, but there's still the issue at town meeting of the rural nature.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
And I think the thing at the town meeting too was if, if they go this way, how they get it approved, that price the president's probably potentially, you think, for other people to come through and do the same thing, or?
There was the concern about precedent
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there is some, whether it's directly relevant or not.
Cool. I just want.
Hey, Ken, just a quick point of order for the benefit of Neil and Kara. I assume the speakers should be identifying themselves for the record.
Sure, it was Norm Gupel and he did.
I know, but the two before that, I think.
Okay, it was Bonnie
Christie.
Christie. And
Sorry if it wasn't loud enough.
Can I ask more questions that actually might just be for Neil, or do you want to do public comment first?
I think we ran out of public comment. No. Okay, one.
Catherine Mitchell, do we need to come up?
Yeah, please. And your address, Catherine, for the record?
1677 Bound Tree Road. I just want to express, unsurprisingly, my objection to this. It seems to me that when people voted, they were concerned about the precedent, of course. But I don't think they were voting just because they didn't want the town to have to maintain the road in the future. I think the message to me seemed clear that people did not want development on the Class 6 roads. And for that reason, I think we're in the same place. And I think the vote was clear, and I feel that we should abide by it. My husband and I were at the meeting a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago when a gentleman wanted to build 3 houses on the Class 6 road
Yeah.
property that he owns. And I don't see how, if this were allowed, that he couldn't come back and say, then I'd like to build 3 houses on my Class 6 road. And I think
you know, part of the concern that people have with affordable housing is, I think, being reflected in considering building on class 6 roads because people buy that land for less. But if it becomes buildable, it's not going to be sold for less anymore anyway. We'll simply be building out our class 6 roads. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Ignore that my name is up there. My wife is listening in.
She's checking up on you, Ken.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, so I do actually have questions. I think Neil's probably the best person for them. So there's a section of Boundary Road that's paved. It's just kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It's just like paved.
Yes.
So what happened there?
It's a hill.
It's just a hill and got it. Okay, cool.
And it goes up to the treatment plant.
Treatment plant, right. So that was another question. So there's fire hydrants and water all along that entire road. And so is that primarily because the treatment plant is up there? And so we might as well put all these fire hydrants there? Or is it because we specifically said we want to have water access all the way up this road?
So, if I can,
Yeah.
Sam, you wanna
Yeah.
come up? So
Can you identify yourself just so Jeff also knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam Courier, Superintendent of Water and Sewer for the town of Hopkinton. The reason why there's hydrants all the way down Boundary is not so much that everyone's connected to it, because they're not. But what it is water maintenance. So in order to like scour lines and stuff like that, you need to open hydrants and move water to maintain proper. I mean, it's by the state DES mandates it. So
Right.
you need to have hydrants so far down your actual water mains, and that's why they're there. Up past the water plant, we only have one raw water hydrant, and that's right across from, I want to say, the last residence that's part of the actual Boundary Road that's not class 6,
Yeah.
class 5. So, and then everything else sits on the opposite side of the property, if that was in question at all. But the reason why that road is paved is that, without, I guess, quoting me on it, at a certain incline on a dirt road, they can treat that with salt instead of dirt, and be able to make it actually passable. And that's why they pave certain sections of road like that.
Got it.
Especially on dirt road sections. And with the Boundary plant being up there, it gives me access to get to it. So
Cool.
that answers all those questions.
That does. Thank
All
you.
right, perfect.
okay, thanks. Sam.
Trouble.
Thanks, Sam.
I do have, so one other question. So last week, Don Houston came in here because he needed permission to just like clear down trees in the middle of the class 6. So, I mean, in terms of if people are building on a class 6, do they have the ability to maintain that road, or?
They would need written permission to do any work on a class 6 road, written permission from the board
Okay.
to do anything on a class 6 road.
Got it. So, and if that didn't happen, then that road just eventually turns into a forest.
Oh, nobody did any work.
If no one did anything.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why Don Houston was requesting
Right.
the authority so he could take a tractor up there to get to some property he had further down.
Which makes, yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, so what I gather, the sense of the board is that you'd like to request comments from the planning board and Department of Public Works?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you, everybody, for the comments. And the next item under new business is Budget Committee update, and that's me. The Budget Committee met a week ago or so, and the chair for this year will be Mark Zankel again, and the vice chair will be Jonathan Cohen. Our next meeting is August 10th. And there was a request that at one of the earlier future meetings of the Budget Committee, if we could do provide a deeper dive into the transfer station. You remember, Thomas, that was something that came up at the end of a budget season last time, just in terms of the the operations, potential improvements, the capital plan relating to the transfer station.
Is this the budget committee?
Budget committee was what was
So
requested.
that's not really their role. They're asking the board to do that.
They're provide a report on that, because Bonnie was the one that raised it at the end of the budgetary process last year, and it left a number of questions in some members' minds if there are improvements that could be made that would be cost effective or environmentally beneficial.
So beyond what the capital improvement plan looks into,
Well,
or different
even
than, different than that.
or even just explaining the capital improvement plan
Okay,
may be sufficient.
okay.
Um,
So we should ask the refuge disposal committee. to-
That would actually probably make the most sense.
Yeah.
That's really their role.
Yeah, so from my,
Bonnie's gone, but Bonnie is on that committee.
Yeah.
from my recollection, there was a lot of conversation at the end of the comment period about improvements to the transfer station, and Rich Houston made it pretty clear with his comments that a lot more, it wasn't just like a simple like, oh, we need more recycling or we need to do more, like a lot more effort and budget and people, man hours need to go into it to make a lot of the stuff they were talking about happen. And so
Okay.
it felt like that was where a lot of that was coming from.
It wasn't, but then there was they pointed out there was, I don't know, $100,000 or something like that in the capital
Right.
budget. So, how that would be spent and how that would address those kind of issues.
That's scheduled for the trailer, which is costing that much, which is in process now.
So is this request, sounds like it's better handled by the refuse committee than by us,
Yeah, we can take it to them and they,
or at least they
I
can
think
start and
I
bring it
think
back
they
to
should
us.
probably come to us.
Okay, yeah,
and,
that's,
let us, what their thoughts are.
yeah, okay. And then obviously there's the capital improvement plan, which speaks for itself. But we could, if the budget committee wanted to get some explanation on more details on what's in that as well.
And I think that would be something that the refuge committee could be reporting to us, is that
Okay.
what's in there, does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that we have that committee to provide us that kind of information.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
and that should probably be a joint meeting with the
The Webster people, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good idea.
So sometime, late summer, maybe.
So I can go back and look at the minutes to see exactly what the budget committee is looking for.
So you want to give specific sort of parameters?
I
to-
just want a sense of, I can listen to the video too and get what they were talking about.
To me, they just wanted an update on the transfer station and what could or should be done additionally. There was also another, getting back to the budget committee discussions, there was a discussion there similar to what you and Jeff have debated, Thomas, about education funding and do new homes benefit the tax rate or harm the tax rate? And there was no conclusion.
Yeah.
And I'm just reporting it. I'm not wanting to start another debate. The final thing actually came after the meeting was a thought from Rich Houston, and maybe Stephen, you would have some thought. Could we offer some kind of a tax break for major renovations to residential properties in order to incent people to make the investment, say a 3-year tax break, and then it would hit the tax rolls as a way to increase. assessments.
79E.
That's what I
You're
was-
in the district,
Right.
but
Which district?
But that's only downtown, right?
right in the two downtowns.
There's a commercial, there's the ability to do that for, I think, commercial work that has to be adopted at town meeting.
It's very
And,
similar.
yeah, and then there's 79E. But off the top of my head, those are the only two options that I can think of. Can you think of any more?
I don't know an RSA that would allow that.
Yeah,
Okay.
79E was adopted by town meeting
right.
in 2009.
So as far as residential, it's a no.
Well, it's, I think 79E may work depending on where you're located. But that's probably it for residential construction.
Okay, it's not townwide.
No.
Okay. I didn't think there was any possibility, but I wanted to ask about that. Okay.
And I'm sorry I have to jump off.
Okay, well, thank you for being in as long as you're able to, Jeff.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, then I'll move on to new business. The Warner River Local Advisory Committee.
Sure. Did you see there is an email that there was a resignation, so they have an open position. So if they are looking for names, if you have any suggestions,
Can we add this to our posting
we
on
can.
the website?
Did anybody have any thoughts right away? No?
Is there a timeline on it?
Yeah.
And so that wasn't super clear. Is this, there's like an application process, was this like we get one person to appoint, or is?
No, I think you make a recommendation and they're technically appointed, I believe, by DES.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll post it. Okay. Okay,
But before we move on from that, can we also ask the planning board and conservation commission if any of their members, because that's a logical source for members for this committee.
good thought.
Yeah.
Okay, Neil, town administrator updates?
Sure. We're waiting for the Blackford deed and we'll move forward with that. Last Friday, we received our initial estimates on the work that still needs to be done on Tyler Bridge. So we're reviewing that and putting that all together. So we'll be coming probably at your next meeting with a proposal for that. But if these are the engineering estimates, and which were not close last time, hopefully these are good. Let's see, we have, as of right now, 5 applicants for the finance director position. I'm actually really pleased with the applicants. Joel Moyer, the treasurer, has agreed to help interview them. And I didn't know if a member of the board wanted to join in on those interviews, which we plan to do next week. And move forward as quickly as possible. Payroll is done. MRI was here today and did payroll. I've been doing AP. So I think we're not getting ahead, but we're keeping our head above water and the bills are getting paid and payroll is done, and we're moving forward there.
So thoughts on if we want a board member to sit in on the finance director interviews?
I'm fine either way.
I mean, I guess I'm fine either way as well. I mean, I assume that this committee would meet and make a recommendation to us. And then we would have our opportunity at that point to say yes or no. So yeah, we could be involved earlier or wait to see who's brought forward.
I'm trying to remember, has the board ever gotten involved in interviewing?
No, not that I can think of. Well, they did for the economic, the board did that, decided to be the entire.
Yeah.
In that case.
Special exception.
But I think for department heads, there's either been a committee or a small group, and then the board does the final, obviously, is the hiring of them.
So who so far is going to be sort of sifting through the applicants?
Just the two of us.
Just you and Joel so far? Okay.
I don't think we want too many.
Right.
The last time we hired for this position, Michelle Clark and I did it,
Okay.
and then made a recommendation to the board.
Okay.
I see a member of the public wanted to comment.
You could recommend some passing budget committee maybe, since part of finance.
Totally different roles. I don't want them involved. That's not their role.
That's true. Just think of that.
In terms of like having I mean, would it be helpful? Would it be neutral? Would it be not helpful? Like what do you need? What do you?
I think
help with?
the two of us do fine, but if a board member wanted to sit in, nobody else logically came up.
Yeah.
To do that.
I guess I'm fine waiting to see who they put forward. But if someone wanted to participate,
I wouldn't say like that's a bad idea. I wouldn't say no, but
I'm not
fine.
also not volunteering
Yeah.
myself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't want to stop Ken or you, Thomas. But okay.
I think I have faith in Neil.
Yeah.
Okay. Had you completed your updates, Neil?
That is it.
Okay. Anything else from public forum?
Ian Tewksbury, Irish Hill Road. I'm ahead of the game, but I figured now is a good time to let you guys, a couple of things to think about. Neil could obviously give you specifics, but I think across New Hampshire, every municipality is hurting for employees. And people are constantly going to greener pastures and, where they can make more money, better hours, better benefits, whatever. And Hopkinton, from my point of view, has always traditionally been some kind of a stepping stone. Yes, we have people that have been here 20, 25, 30 years, worked their entire career here. You're also getting some people straight out of college that work here 2, 3, 4 years, and then they're going to a larger municipality. And some municipalities we can't compete with, but there's other ones that we can. And as you guys start heading into the budget cycle and start thinking about, raises and things like that, some people might see, oh my goodness, in my tax bill, such and such an employee is getting a 6, 7, 8% raise. But if you look at what it costs to train that person and what that person has for certifications over several years, do they have their CDLs and all these other things that we do not have to train a brand new person starting from scratch. It might cost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to bring somebody up to where this current person is that we're going to be losing them. So if you give them a higher percentage, then we're not having to go to the bottom of the barrel to take somebody with zero experience and losing people that have lots of experience. So I would implore, I would be willing to pay a little bit more in my taxes to make sure that we have it takes a guy 6 hours to plow because he's been doing it for 10 years rather than 8 hours because he's been plowing for 6 months, and I think that's something to consider as you guys head into that. The other thing I would ask is that I think a lot of argument that I hear in the town for our taxes going up, whether it's in the school district or whether it's a town, is that there are people on fixed incomes, retired people that are being forced out of their homes. I personally have never seen it, but that's the argument I hear. I would ask you guys to consider, once again, raising the elderly exemption even more than you have last year or the year before, whenever it was, just to make sure that we are that you guys and the town are continuing to support those people. Because once again, if I had to pay another $100 or $200 a year because Mrs. Smith, who's been here her entire life, does not have to have her taxes go up, I would be willing to do that. And I think a lot of people would be willing to do that as well. So like I said, I know I'm ahead of the game, but I figured I'd better bring this to you now and not in December.
Well, thank you, and I certainly understand and agree with your thoughts.
I'm not very good at this.
We don't bite.
My name is Michelle Saracen. I'm also Duffy. This is a really emotional topic for me.
For your address.
So, 75 Cressy Brook Road, Hopkinton. This is a really emotional topic for me, so bear with me, and I get a little emotional. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. Okay.
I'm here in regards to the Kentucky Cemetery. My son is buried down there.
Would you like
Jeff
some
told me
water?
not to cry and to bring plenty of notes. I dealt with Don Lang, and he told me at the beginning, and I'm just gonna roll it all up there and see if I can get through it, that I could do anything I wanted down there except put a bench. So I went with that. We had a lovely tree down there, a hibiscus, and after 2 years, it died. Well, come to find out, the weed whacker, the landscaper, had chopped it from the back, and that's why it died. When I confronted him on it, his response to me was, and of course I'm in tears over this because it was there at the funeral, so it had meaning to me. Didn't have meaning to Greg, but it did to me. And his response to me was, oh, well, those things happen. So I met with the sexton, they dug it up for me. It wasn't replaced, but yet it significant meaning. So it was dug up and then that was taken care of. I have, bricks around Greg's plot. Evidently, you can't do that. I went down there the next day, they were all gone. I called my daughter, I called me, I'm calling everybody, they were behind the stone. It says in the paperwork that if something like that is done wrong, and I have printed it all out, he could have called me. Make a phone call. I'm, again, in tears all over the place. And I understand why you can't do it. But again, I was trying to protect the area. I have flowers down there. I do all kinds of landscaping down there. And I was just trying to protect it from anything else. I saw Joe last year. I was down there doing gardening, and there's this little tiny silk flower that one of his best friends planted there. And I said to him, please don't touch this. I know there's not supposed to be silk flowers down there, but this is from his best friend. Please leave it. There was also a little tiny rattle, little tiny plastic ring that my granddaughter, my other son, brought his daughter for the first time, 6 months old, put on the stone. It was on the little slab and left it there. I said, please don't take these things off. They're gone. Now, I went down there this spring and it doesn't open till May 1st. It's already open. The chain is down. You can get in there. I think that's great because you've got the elderly people that are going down there. Anybody who can, the sooner you can get in there, the better. But if I was coming from out of town, I would assume that I couldn't get in there till May 1st. So they're already, and I've gone down there and seen piles of stuff. And last year, there was a flamingo in this pile of cleanup. That flamingo means nothing to me. It means nothing to anybody else, but it does to the person who left it there. Now I called Neil. Neil obviously spoke with Lynn. Lynn called me last night.
Okay. Just last night?
Yes.
I talked to her Wednesday.
Yes, and that was another frustration because if she had called me on Wednesday, I could have gone to the meeting on Thursday. Now I can't go till next month. I feel like I'm not being heard. I've been friends with Jeff for a lot of years. He knew Greg. I called Jeff and I'm like, what do I do? And he's the one suggested that I come here tonight and voice my concerns. This is what I had to read. Obviously, I didn't do a very good job reading my little notes tonight. I feel like I'm not being heard. I will show you, I'm gonna show you pictures just so you can see what I do. And I went down there today and, you know, it says in here that after every season, it's cleaned up. Well, there are pots of mums down there. So they're not being cleaned up. So this is what I had done. And the bricks were taken off. I get the bricks aren't supposed to be there. So, but this is my son leaving the toy that is now not there, which you can't replace that moment. You know, it was just that little pink toy. It wasn't bothering anybody. You know, and you know, you can't replace that moment. And when I went down there this spring, I was, you know, and now it looks like this. So I try to take really good care of it. And I want when people go down there, I want them to know that he was loved and he was cared for, you know, but this was today. So you're going to take things away from, and from what I understand, these pots aren't even supposed to be down there. There's this one that somebody stuck right in the ground. So and there used to be a list on the website of what you can and cannot do. I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere and I would like a copy of that if possible. And I think my goal here is if there are a set of rules, then do they apply to everybody? Or who do they, because right now somebody went around and stuck silk flowers, just stuck them in the ground. I have pictures of that too. You know, those, I've got to be careful what I say ugly, you know, the silk flowers with the stem that you just stick in, they're just in the ground. And it's like, the ones I had at Greg's, they were like in with the daylilies and stuff. You know, I'm not saying they were pretty, but they were from a friend. So I don't know. And I'm down there and, you know, I almost like it when they close it for the year because then I'm not down there every day. I don't know what to do. I'm very frustrated. You know, I plant things there that will come back every year because when I'm not there anymore, I want it to come back. I want it to look nice. Hey, I'm going to be there. I want it to look nice. But I am frustrated and I feel as if I don't feel, you know, Lynn said she was going to talk to Joe. And I said, if he denies not talking to me last year, then I don't know what to tell you because I was almost kind of like, dude, I'm having a moment. Can you, you know? But I mean, I'm going to go to the meeting on Thursday. It's not even, I suppose it's Thursday, but these meetings, they're at 10 o'clock in the morning. So even if people had a complaint, they hold their meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. If I was working, I could never go to that meeting. I'm retired now, but I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm frustrated. And I got through it. You know, he was in his early 30s. I don't know if any of you knew Greg. He was a cook down at the bridge. I mean, he was everything, but I just, you know, I get frustrated because kids are riding their bikes in there. That's not how I grew up. You know, it's not a playground. I don't know if I'm supposed to wait for advice or just.
I mean, it sounds like, you know, trying to work with Lynn, trying to getting to their next meeting and expressing your concerns. Hopefully something can be worked out. I don't know what else to suggest. Do you have any suggestions?
I mean, how was your conversation with?
It was not good.
Okay.
I felt as if I was being, as a matter of fact, my significant other had it on this speakerphone and he's like, cut it off because it was very patronizing. She was like, oh, well, you know, there's nothing we can do about it now. And that's not, You know, why are you picking up things over here, but why are you not picking them up? Why are you weed whacking over here and you're not weed whacking over there? I mean, the stone right next to his is a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, there are people I know that have family there that bring their own weed whackers down there because the lawn is not mowed regularly. She tried to tell me it was mowed after every rainstorm. That is not the case. I've gone down there and it's been up to my thigh. It says in here that they lime and fertilize the lawns out there. I would love you to go out and look at his grass because it's like tumbleweed. I mean, you can't tell me you're fertilizing the lawns out there. I'm down there almost every day.
Yeah, I don't have any other great suggestions other than to meet with the Lynn and the other board whenever they meet again, and to hopefully you'll get a better reception than you've gotten so far. And I'm sorry for what you've gone through too, for what it's worth. I'm sure that's been.
But don't you guys oversee them as well?
Well, I don't know if we oversee them, but I mean, I think they're probably the first step to try to have this
But
resolved.
see, I've gone through Joe. I've gone now through Lynn, and now I'm here.
They are separately elected. So you don't oversee them.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm sorry I wasted your time.
Oh, well, we appreciate hearing the concerns.
We'll make sure you get, there should be a booklet that has their rules on. We'll make sure you get that.
It's on the town website. I understand. I just assumed it was part of the town body and, you know, somebody's got to oversee it because I'm really frustrated. You know, I've tried to abide by what they tell me to do, and then it's almost like they pick and choose out there. And if they're hired, I guess I was told by someone, my significant other who drove through there, that the landscaper was out there with some kid cleaning up. You know, you can't do that. You can't just have some kid out there. You know, it can't be okay for one person and not okay for somebody else.
Right.
You know, so thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public forum? Okay, we'll move on to
That's Shannon.
Oh, yeah, Shannon.
Shannon, we've already closed the discussion on your petition. What we're going to be doing is seeking comments from the planning board and the Department of Public Works.
How was the discussion closed? I was told my meeting was at 6:30.
It was told it was at
I
6.
got here prior to 6:30.
It was 6.
You know, your email said 6:30.
No, it's 6.
It-
I checked when you came in.
No way.
I think even if you had been here
Yeah,
for it, the outcome would be the same.
So what was discussed?
Well, that the statute requires us to get comment from the planning board before
Okay.
we can do anything.
Okay,
So we said that we want to send it to the planning board for review and comment, and we'd also like to have review and comment by DPW.
so I've met with Dan several times and they are totally fine with whatever we want to do, and he's more than welcome to put that into writing. And this was a suggestion from the planning department. And was there public comment made?
There was some,
Discussion?
yes, there was some public comment, yep.
And which was what?
Opposed to the board granting you permission to build.
So I would just like to be able to put on record to that their initial and sole objection was the upgrading and preservation of the Class 6 road, which is why we opted to go in this direction.
And we're not going to make a decision on this
Right.
tonight.
No, I understand
And
that.
so I think you will have another opportunity to provide input, and anybody that is opposed will have another opportunity as well, once we get the comments back from DPW and planning board.
Fantastic.
I checked because I thought it was my mistake.
You're right. So so I appreciate you letting me get my little piece in there. And I will talk to Dan in the morning and have him send something over right away.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, other, Tom or Stephen, do you have anything?
I do not, no.
I don't think so.
Neil, any update on the Horseshoe Tavern?
It's sitting on the supervisor's desk. With surveyors.
Already ready, just drafted and ready for a signature?
The survey is not done, so.
It's waiting to be
This is with the
assigned.
new surveyor.
Yeah.
And any update on discussion on George Park and school board?
Yep. I'm not aware of anything happening on that either.
Was that the school board kind of making a committee to work with you guys? Yeah, I'll just say I heard it in this meeting, I'll bring it up next week.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Thank you.
I've talked to Jim also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still would like to know what this committee is and what they're doing.
This
I think I've asked that question
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
This came out of our joint meeting with the school board.
Yeah, and the suggestion came out of Jim O'Brien.
That's right.
And, I think the thought was, why don't we get together and decide what want done and how it should be paced? The cost should be split.
That's my memory too, yeah.
So we have a plan in place that we spent money on. We have a time frame. So maybe who pays for it is a question, but are we reinventing?
No, I thought it was not the improvements that are being proposed, like the facilities and the field and potentially like the track. It was, more who does the maintenance on the fields, who's responsible for that sort of thing. And we may want to talk to Dan as well.
We have an agreement in place. We maintain the fields.
I thought it was more who's going to be paying, what share of the capital costs.
Maybe we should go back to the
And
minutes.
that's why it's a committee.
That's why I keep
Right.
asking these questions.
Yeah.
There's a couple other things you gotta remember, like, we had issues with the fairgrounds, it's still something the two boards actually talk about, access to that. We had issues with that. Remember.
That was an issue, but I think we're just talking about George Park here.
Yeah.
Other issues like town property or something fixed up in locations. I think it's about, I understand repairs and stuff, splitting the cost and everything, but I also think there was other things that you guys have control of that we use after that discussion.
Is the fairground still closed off to the sports teams that want to that do runs through there?
I know in the fall because of vandalism, it was shut down.
They watched it down, but the Norton teams have been in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the question is,
Are there any other lands besides George Park and the fairgrounds that are town owned, but?
The
Town
fairgrounds
does
are
not
not
own the
Oh,
fairgrounds.
right. Never mind. So,
The school uses Houston Park and George Park. And they own Maple Street Fields, but we maintain it. So we don't maintain anything at Harold.
Looking for the minutes, just while we're on this topic.
I just add one thing, I think I remember a discussion about the fence along Park Ave as well, needing to be replaced.
That actually is in process.
Okay.
That we've had.
Yeah, that,
Yeah, I think
20
so.
brands of them.
yeah, the cost is being split.
Yeah. The superintendent. and I, that's it. Process.
Sorry, just looking.
While Stephen's looking, I believe that the state is going to pick up 7.5% of the pension costs for police and fire for us for 1 year.
Well, did make it through the Senate, yes.
But only for 1 year?
The Senate bill was only 1 year. The House bill was ongoing.
Ongoing.
So
And I
we
was,
won't really know until there's a committee conference.
I was just curious what 7.5% would equate to.
Oh, I can get that information. They've discussed this so many times. It's, you kind of wait until they get
Fair enough.
right away
Okay.
along.
It-
But it's further along now than I think it's ever been.
It came up at the municipal legislative committee there, so.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the minutes. It's the October 21st meeting, 2021. Said Mr. O'Brien suggests the two boards work together and reorganize the management of the fields that makes the most sense for all involved. Would like to put together a group of all parties involved, rec department, public works, schools, ISA, athletic department, soccer club, et cetera, to work together to decide the best course of action for managing and maintaining the fields. So in terms of substance, that's what the minutes reflect.
Which is what the new field use policy did with all those groups.
With all those groups, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was how to share the costs, capital costs.
I mean, it's possible that didn't make it into the minutes, but was part of the discussion. I don't honestly remember if that was part of it or not. It could have been.
Okay.
So I think, I could speak better, but I think from the school board perspective, that's been done now. Because we updated.
The field use policy, you
field
mean?
use policy,
Yeah.
went through and all worked on that. So I don't think it's an item out there for anyone.
Right, because the schools were involved with the field use policy. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have anything for other? Then the next item on the agenda is non-public session. So we're going to go into a non-public session. We will not be doing anything else, and we'll just be adjourned when that's finished.
Do I need to bring it back for meeting about that committee or just let it go?
It sounds like
Let it
you
go.
can let it go.
Okay, go sure.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Norm.
Thanks, guys.
So I'll,
I mean, unless the school wants to give us a bunch of money for the fields.
I'll,
Let it go.
That's what Norm said just now.
Let it go.
Let the minutes reflect.
okay. I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A3 Roman 2 little c. Do I get something out of
Second.
order? Okay, well, we'll do a roll call anyway.
Thomas, yes.
Ken, yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go into non-public. It's 6:50.
Well, anyway, the wheel, it's like.